Good evening, friends. John here from What's Spinning. Here tonight with, it's been a while, and it's time for a vinyl update. Like I kind of said in my Wise Blood review video, I'm slowly winding things down for the year. I'm starting to look towards my end of the year list, and I don't have too many more reviews to do. I've got a few. The Elder review just went up a little while ago. I'm going to be chatting about the new White Lung album, that new Crosses EP, and the new Weezer EP, the fourth Weezer EP when it drops. But for now, I have some free time, and I figured we'd have some fun and chat about some new additions to the collection. So without further ado, got my stuff organized over here. Gonna start off with some of my favorites of the year. So first up, want to chat about an album that I have just been obsessed with because I think it's the best punk album of the year. It's one that just came out a few weeks ago, and it's the new Show Me the Body album. Yeah, Trouble the Water. This thing is freaking awesome. It is one of the most dirty, menacing, intense, jarring, and just in-your-face punk records of the year. I haven't had a chance to spin it yet. I just picked it up a few days ago, but just like, I love the handwritten lyrics that we get on the back. It's very intense, very in-your-face, like I said. It's a very straightforward packaging. Nice little paper gatefold, as well as a straightforward black vinyl. But if you haven't listened to it yet and you're a fan of punk music of any generation and just want something grimy and disgusting and just dangerous sounding, this album is a must listen. Then we have an album that is easily a contender for one of the best albums that I've heard all year. Might be my favorite album of the year. You'll find out in a few weeks, but it is the latest from Spiritualized. Everything Was Beautiful. This album, to me, is the send-off that should have happened like 5 years ago. Their last album, And Everything Hurt, I just was kind of let down by. I thought it was good, but I just know that the band is so much better than that because they've proven it time and time again. And with this album, they've created a larger-than-life, very mesmerizing experience of like 8 or 9 tracks that are just all really solid. I mean, the performances are fantastic, the production is great, and it's just like this swirling atmosphere. And I love the packaging. Look at this nice little gold pressing on the inner sleeve. We got some credits on the back and some lyrics, and straightforward black vinyl. But if you haven't listened to this yet and you consider yourself a fan of the more spacey and psychedelic side of indie, or just a Spiritualized fan, this is the send-off from Jason Pierce that I really wanted. I also did some Black Friday record store day shopping, and one of my bigger purchases, I had to do it just because I loved the album when it first came out. I gave it a very positive review, and ever since, it's grown on me with each listen. That would be the new Weeknd album, Dawn FM. I love this alternative, sort of different packaging that we're getting on this compared to the digital version. This thing is massive. It's got a nice gatefold with some pretty awesome inner artwork. Sorry for the glare. There we go. It's got some pretty awesome inner artwork. And outside of that, the packaging is it's pretty straightforward. Black vinyl, we're getting nice heavy pressed vinyl, but like I said, everything about this album has grown on me with each listen, and I had to have it in my collection just because this latest run of the Weeknd, the guy's on fire. He's really reinvented himself, and I love me some synths, and there's plenty of synths on here. Also, for Black Friday record store day, I've, picked up so many others in this series, and I'm just such an addict of it. I haven't even listened to this yet, but I know it's going to be great. It is the latest in the Madlib Medicine Show series. There we go. There's a nice view of it. It's the latest. This is the 11th chapter in this series, and if you haven't listened to the other chapters of Madlib's Medicine Show, I mean, it's just a real happening, and just a real example of what he can do with sound and how he listens to music and how he samples. And each usually has a pretty interesting aesthetic to it, and a usually pretty interesting theme. I genuinely cannot wait to listen to this. And this thing is a beautiful, translucent, pinkish purple vinyl. I mean, it's Madlib. The guy was born to make beats, and his Medicine Show series is just, I think, at times, the pinnacle of it. Is it kind of for super fans? Yes, but you should definitely check it out. Also, over the last few months, decided to pick this bad boy up just because it was one of my favorite albums of last year. And not only that, is an album that I could just put on and just feel happy at the end of a stressful day, and just no matter what kind of mood I'm in, this album just puts a smile on my face. And that's the new Howdy record, True Love. Love this thing. It's very rustic, very heartfelt, very harmonious indie rock record. It just got a lot of love in it, much like the title. Got a nice picture of the band on the back. I mean, I've enjoyed this duo's music for years, but I do feel like this is one of their best albums. We get a nice yellow lyric sheet on the inside, as well as a nice pink vinyl. Got a nice pink vinyl with a heart on it for True Love. Isn't that nice? It's like I said, it's not an album for everybody. I can see people, kind of writing this off as just very rustic indie stuff. But it's got a lot of heart, it's got a lot of love, and it makes me happy. Also, over the last few months, I picked up some classics, as I often do, including this one, which has been in my want list seemingly forever. It's of Montreal's Cherry Peel. I am such a fan of their early twee days, between this and the Gay Parade, etc., etc. I love this era of the band so much. It was the first era of the band that I was really introduced to. I listened to this years before I listened to Hissing Fauna or anything like that. But this just has some of my favorite of Montreal tracks on here, like I Can't Stop Your Memory and Tim, I Wish You Were Born a Girl. And it takes me back at the end of the day. It's a very simple album for me, but it's just one that, once again, just puts a smile on my face. Love the inner artwork. It's very of Montreal. It's pretty straightforward packaging. We got ourselves a black vinyl, but, this is just classic indie pop that just, does one thing, and that's put a smile on my face. Also, decided to just, I've been picking up a lot of their albums lately because they've been repressed, and I am such a fan of this era of the band, and I love the albums from this generation of the band, and I picked up Drive-By Truckers, A Blessing and a Curse. Not my favorite album of theirs, but God, Gravity's Gone, Easy on Yourself. The title track, February 14th, Valentine's Day. There is so many tracks on here that were honestly some of my first I ever heard from the band. Honestly, I like, the Dirty South and Southern Rock Opera a little bit better, but I've been trying to pick up as much as I can from this generation. They always do such a great job with packaging. Love this little insert with pictures of the band and tons of lyrics on it. We also get, nothing too shocking here, straightforward black vinyl. There's a lot of great stuff on here, and there's just a lot of great, sort of gritty alternative country and southern rock from Drive-By Truckers during this incantation of them that is just so good. Picked this up the other day. I saw it. I hadn't listened to it in forever, but I remember really loving it, and I picked it up. It's Blank Mass, Animated Violence Mild. This is the album that he followed up his World Eater album with, which was one of my favorite albums of the year. It's a little dancier, but it's still really harsh on the ears and really experimental in parts. The guy has done so much cool stuff over the years. I do a lot of writing in my spare time, and a lot of the time it's one of these albums from Blank Mass. Love this twisted artwork. The dance tracks on this album go hard. Love the inner sleeve, which is just more of this bloody apple, which is just always wonderful. And we got a nice translucent green vinyl on this one. Shout outs to Blank Mass and shout outs to Sacred Bones for always, kind of nailing it with packaging, because oftentimes they do. Also, was unsure about this one when I picked it up, just because I remember I was sort of lukewarm to it when I first, listened to it, so much so that I don't even think I reviewed it when it came out, and that is kind of weird because I usually review everything the band does. However, picking it up on vinyl and re-listening to it, even though it's a lengthy album, I've actually learned to enjoy it a little bit more for the freakish and really experimental album that it is. And that would be the OC's Face Stabber. This is like their longest album by far. It's an hour and 20 minutes, and there are multiple tracks on here that push the 20-minute mark and are pretty jammy. It's easily their jammiest album. It's got some wild experiments for a band that is known for some pretty wild experiments, but even this is pretty out there. I mean, you know what you're getting. You're getting the freakish inner sleeve. What in the hell is that, John Dwyer? But like I said, I did learn to enjoy this album a little bit more, and it's actually got some really cool stuff on there. Straightforward black vinyl. Wouldn't expect anything more from the boys in the OCs. And if you haven't listened to the OCs or like their recent output, definitely give it a try. They're always doing something different, and this is definitely one of their most experimental albums. Also, I saw this when I went up to the record store the other day, and I had to pick it up just because I've been on a kick lately. And that's a giant dog kick lately. I mean, I love this band. I miss this band. They haven't put out a real album of studio material in quite some time. I think the last time they did was Toy, and it's been a long time since that album came out. But like Sabrina Ellis and company are such a fun sort of blackened rock and roll and garage punk band with just super ambitious vocals, over the top performances. They just sound dangerous most of the time, and I love their style so much. This is a great album. Their early output was so underrated. I love the pictures here that we get of the band performing in their infancy. There's a young Sabrina Ellis there looking gorgeous as always. And yeah, their whole early output and even their later output is so good. Once again, translucent green vinyl. We're getting 2 of those today. Yeah, I really hope that we get a new Giant Dog album soon. Because I really have just always thought their sound was so underrated and they just deserve more attention. And finally, last but not least, I saw this at the store as well. It's one of my all-time favorite albums, and I know it just got the repress a few years ago, so I decided to finally go out and grab it, and that would be the legendary Pink Flag from Wire. So much of my music love came to me because of this album here. The only reason that I'm into a lot of the art punk and post-punk that I'm into these days is because of this bad boy right here. This is such a classic album. I mean, I've always just loved the packaging here. We got a great picture of the band in their early stages here. Got some lyrics on the inside on both sides. And a straightforward black vinyl, but most importantly, the album sounds amazing. It's aged so well. It's so catchy. It's so eclectic. It's so ahead of its time still. I mean, most of you have probably listened to it, but if you haven't, this is your homework right here. And that's going to just about do it for us here today with a little vinyl update. As always, let me know down below if you enjoyed this video and want to see more in this category. And until next time, I hope you all have a great day, friends.